This past winter was literally the warmest ever for the United States, as we saw record low snowfall, extended mild conditions, and massive wildfires through multiple states. And, well, spring, it's about to be a roller coaster of its own. Before I jump into the forecast, let's take a look back at the record-setting winter that we just had. From December 1st to the end of February, the average temperature was 5.4 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than the 20th century average. And as impressive as that sounds, we've gotten a bit numb to hearing about warmest months, years, and seasons as it occurs on a relatively regular basis nowadays. Of the past 11 winters, only one can be considered below average, with two setting the record for warmest at their respective time, and the other 8 being a varying degree of above average. And heading into this winter, the cards were stacked against us, considering an El Nino pattern tends to lead to above average conditions for the northern half of the United States. And looking back at the past few months, this winter definitely started with a bang. December 2023 was the hottest December on record when you take average temperatures for the entire United States. In fact, it was the hottest December globally, with temperatures an average of 2.5 degrees above average. In the US, 7 states set new records for hottest month. These states are all located in the upper Great Plains, where you might remember a very warm Christmas, as some spots saw temperatures 20 to 25 degrees above average. Other notable weather events that occurred in December were multiple rounds of atmospheric rivers and an end-of-the-year East Coast storm that led to flooding in a number of areas. Those storms also helped drive warmer air into those areas along the coast, which added to the historically warm month. January was the closest to normal during the winter season, but still brought above average temperatures nationally. The US was 1.6 degrees warmer than average, but did see a few states dip below average, notably in the South. One of the most striking aspects in January was the lack of ice on the Great Lakes. On January 1st, only 0.35% of the lakes were covered in ice, which is far below the average of 10% by that time. However, a very cold air mass hit mid-January for much of the eastern half of the US, which allowed for some ice development. Still, the maximum extent of the ice coverage was 16%, well below the 40% average winter peak. Many in the Pacific Northwest won't forget this month for its winter fury, as the first blizzard warning for western Washington in 11 years was issued, along with above average precipitation for the Oregon coast. February was across the board very warm, with 4 states in the Midwest setting all-time warmest Februaries, and across the US, it was the third warmest February in history. 506 counties, a little less than 1/6 of the counties in the United States, had record warm months. The most obvious indicator for abnormal conditions was the widespread wildfires in the plains, with the Smokehouse Creek fire becoming the largest in Texas state history after warm temperatures and strong winds created ideal conditions. Spring has started out quite normal, as we've already experienced multiple rounds of severe weather on top of a few late bursts of winter weather. But temperature-wise, we have still been warm, with March being neutral to above average for every U.S. county. For April, the Southwest has been below average, and the High Plains and the Rockies have been a bit above average. Although this is all about to change for the rest of the U.S. Here's what the upcoming weeks look like, and spoiler, it's a bit of a roller coaster. The next few days will be marked by average to above average temperatures for most of the United States outside of California and the Southwest. A storm system that impacted the West Coast to start the weekend will gradually be coming to the east, strengthening as it passes over the Rockies into the plains. As it does so, more warm air from the south will be pulled into the heart of the country, continuing the warm trend and bringing a severe threat for parts of Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and other plain states on Monday, and again farther to the east on Tuesday. As we head later into the week, though, this system is going to make things feel very, very chilly. As a low moves off into the northeast and into Canada, unseasonably cold air will fill in behind it, and we could see temperatures 20 to 30 degrees below average for parts of the south. This chilly air mass is being accompanied by a strong high-pressure system that will be hard to move out, causing a pattern for the next few weeks of diving back into colder air. Here's a look at what the rest of the month might look like. These Climate Prediction Center charts help paint a picture towards what areas are more likely to see above average conditions and what areas are likely to see below average ones. For the end of April, the pattern of cooler air will be prevalent for the eastern half of the US, outside of mainly just the Florida coast. The upper plains and the Midwest are the most likely to experience these unseasonably cold conditions next weekend, while this area of cold air shifts into the Ohio Valley for the last few days of the month. For the start of May, though, this pattern begins to break down, and the very warm conditions expected for the West Coast for the rest of April will begin to spread across the northern part of the country. So for a recap, although this winter was the warmest on record, the forecast only keeps the heat up for the next few days before a pattern shift brings very cool air in from Canada. If you live in the middle of the country, you have the greatest chance to see temperatures 20 to 30 degrees lower than normal at the end of this week, with normal to below average conditions hanging around for the end of the month. For the East Coast, we'll be closer to normal for the next week to 10 days, but after that, we likely won't see any above average stretches until the beginning of May. Luckily, though, if you're on the West Coast, all you have to do is get through the start of the work week before normal and above average temperatures last you until May.